Alrighty, we are now going to be making the first banner for our pet store that's going to be hosted on Prestige theme, not District theme. And what we're going to be doing is making it for the Pet Park, which is going to be a drop shipping store that specializes in pet accessories and toys, all thing pets. And we're not going to be discriminatory. We're going to be doing a large brand and niche drop shipping store. So a lot of different types of pet accessories. And what we want to do is make sure that this banner is a very appealing one. Prestige theme is all about large image files. You can see that this banner takes up a lot of real estate the moment a customer goes onto the homepage, or should I say a potential customer, all right? So what we want to do is basically find some sort of stock photo that is really going to fit the vibe that we've created for the pet park. And keep in mind, we already had a lesson where we created the logo up above from scratch. So what I'm looking for is some sort of pattern that kind of resembles the logo that we have, right? We have that very clean, crisp dog and kind of cat, clip art type of symbol and a very clean font with it. So what I want to do is go on to Adobe Stock, which is one of these stock photo sites that I use, and basically find something that is similar to the logo that we created to make that consistency in our brand. So I'm just looking up pet pattern, and let's take a look at what's available over here. And it's always shocks me just how many assets these type of stock photo websites have. And I actually really like this one. Okay, this one has a lot of different symbols that are very similar to our logo, and also really communicates the depth of products and the breadth of products that we have, right? All sorts of kind of pet symbols, and it's black and white just like our logo, and that same kind of clip art cartoony style. I think this will do perfectly. So what I'm going to do now is take this into Photoshop and open it up. Alrighty, so I moved this image all the way to the left, and you'll notice that this thing doesn't cover the entire canvas, right? It's kind of cut off. So this is a very easy fix in Photoshop. You just hold down Alt and then drag something over to basically make a perfect copy with it on the same canvas, so you don't have to actually copy and paste and then readjust. And here we are. You can see it looks absolutely amazing now, and this is going to serve as kind of the foundation layer or the building blocks of the banner we're creating with this one. And again, it resembles the logo that we have, and I actually think that this is a little dark for my taste, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. I've gone ahead and selected the layers, right, all the different copies that we made, and I'm going to go ahead and change the opacity to somewhere around 27% is what I'm going to arrive upon, and I think this looks a lot better now. And keep in mind, I'm not just throwing text on top of this banner. This is kind of the foundation for what I'm going to be doing next. I'm actually be adding in some visual assets to it as well, which is why I want it to be kind of a lighter scene. So I'm going back to Adobe Stock now, and what I want to do is basically find some sort of imagery that is all about the holidays, right? I know the holidays has already passed, but I'm kind of feeling in the giving mood today, in the Christmas spirit. So I want something that's going to be a holiday sale for this store, right? And that's the example I'm going to give you, a store-wide sale that is all centered around Christmas. And what do I love more than anything else? I love some cute dogs, and cute dogs seem to be a winner in this niche, right? So I'm going to go ahead and search up dogs Christmas and just see the different options I have. And yep, just as I expected, so many different creatives that we can be using. All look so professional, as if we invested in a photo shoot. And I actually think a lot of the products I sourced on this store is going to be some sort of holiday accessory. So that's very good whenever a stock photo site kind of synergizes well with the products that we're going to be offering. And there's so many options, it's hard to choose. So I'm going to pick one that's on a white background, actually, just to make the Photoshop process a lot easier. So this one seems like it'll be easier to leverage and kind of remove the background on because there's a lot of contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and download it and then open it up to Photoshop and just paste it over, and here it is. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and resize this thing so I can kind of visualize it, what it's going to look like on our patterned background. And I want to also make sure that this thing is centered. And again, if you hold down Alt, that's how you resize something without making it look super crazy. It kind of holds the different dimensions. And what is a way that we can remove this background really easily? Obviously, we can always use the magic wand tool, but I'm going to teach you another method for this one. So what we're going to be doing is clicking that magic wand icon and then using the quick select tool. Okay. And then what we're going to do is basically, and this is the other tool underneath the magic wand, we're going to choose the subject selection option up top in Photoshop, and you can see what it does is basically it tries to figure out what the subject of this image likely is, and it kind of gets rid of everything else, right? So it's not perfect. You can see kind of how it selected some of the white areas, but it's gonna be very, very good. So we're just gonna mask the layer now, and that should get rid of the background. So bam, that was really awesome, right? So that's one way that you can get rid of an image background without using the magic wand tool. Is Photoshop kind of has the subject selection tool as well. And I actually want to give this a colorized background, right? It's the holidays, we're trying to be festive. This white is just not that tantalizing, especially as we consider putting text on this banner. White text especially is just not going to look good on a white banner. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the background color, and I'm gonna go ahead and make it some variation of green. So what I'm going to do is teach you a trick on how to make something a particular color, right? So I've gone ahead and selected a color from the color palette, and what I want to make sure is that the color I want is on the secondary, and you can press that little flip icon like I just did in order to change it, and we just hold down Control, backspace, and bam, we've gone ahead and colorized the background, and this just looks way more festive. But we have a problem. We have these white spots, right? So that's what we're going to be correcting, and how we're going to be doing that is going to be going into the layers area and selecting that little black rectangle box or the layer mask as a part of that layer, so right over there. And then what we're going to be doing is changing that first color to black. If you notice on the left hand panel, now we've changed the primary color to black, and that what this is actually going to do is really interesting, is that when we're using this brush with that black color, it's not actually going to color the white spots in black. What it's going to do is mask the layer so the background is going to be showing. And remember, the background is that green pattern that we just created. So I'm going to show you right now what's going to happen. Bam, right? As I'm kind of erasing, what's going on is going to be, it's just hiding that area of the layer so the background kind of seeps through. Again, so many different ways you can use to remove backgrounds. I have a full lesson on how to remove backgrounds from AliExpress products. All of those skills also relate over to anything with Shutterstock or stock images provider as well. In this case, it's Adobe Stock. And in general, my rule of thumb is you'd rather erase more of the subject than leave any particular white backgrounds out there, right? Like I just cut into the dog and you couldn't really even tell from the naked eye. So whenever you do have to kind of choose, and you know, this thing is all about being detail oriented and being very focused, but obviously you also want to be conscious of time, right? You don't want to spend like a full day just cleaning up one particular image. That's not a good ROI for you, all right? So just do your best, and if you do cut into the animal, no problem whatsoever. It's still going to look pretty good. And I'm just going to be doing this until I get rid of all of the white. And I'm going to be pretty nitty gritty about this, which I always am for any big visual asset that a lot of traffic is going to be seeing. And a banner is a great example of that. So I'm going to go ahead and play some wonderful music from my friend Benji the homie, and meet you back after I'm done cleaning up all this white.
Waiting for the world to share my vision, waiting on you to say my name. Finna get high off your ambition. All of our dreams are still the same. Hit me with the worries and the bitching. You can say all you wanna say. Yeah. Keep me on your mind. Think about the bag all day, all the fortune and the praise. Got your boy in a Yakuza vibe with the slanted eyes, keep him mystified. Walk through Osaka wearing Gucci slides. Not a role model if you want it. They're all role players, I'm like Giannis. All-star with that star flow, a little iced out as far as stars go. A little too sprung for them art hoes, dropping multi-million on designer clothes. Yo, bank account made they legs close. I got them doing tricks on my bed pose. Damn, that's dubs on me. I got Oriental girls, you could call me OG. Fake rapper said it can never be me. Got too much respect, got too much vision. Got there to share my vision, waiting on you to say my name. Finna get high off your ambition. All of our dreams are still the same. Hit me with the worries and addiction. You can say all you wanna say. Put the whole game on on me, on me, on me. Keep me on your mind.
Share my vision, waiting on you to say my name. Finna get high off your ambition. All of our dreams are still the same. Hit me with the worries and the vision. You can say them all you want to say.
Been too broke not to want this grind. Don't need smoke, need some peace of mind. I ain't gonna roll over tonight, yeah. Put the whole game on me. Wanted this bag since 95, spirit on high. Got fire, got pride, damn motherfucker, you can put the whole game on me. Born go status and I swear I'm gon' prove it. Eyes too small so I'm blinded to bullshit. Born J status, talking ballin' since birth. Knew the shit dang before I started on my first. No, I never bang, I was waiting on fame. It was still hard knocks, seeing how the city changed. And the East Coast same day, screaming my name with the hyphen included. Don't forget to do it, want the big digits, get the stacks moving. Broke when I'm 30, goddamn, don't worry, I'm moving. Allergic to losing, it's perfect, it's proven. The vision is waiting losing. for the world to share my vision. Waiting on you to say my name. Finna get high off your ambition. All of our dreams are still the same. Hit me with the worries and the bitchin'. You can say all you wanna say. Put the whole game on me, on me, on me. Keep me on your mind. Share my vision. Waiting on you to say my name. Finna get high off your ambition. All of our dreams are still the same. Hit me with the worries and the bitchin'. You can say all you wanna say. Put the whole game on me, on me, on me. Keep me on your mind.
Awesome, we've gotten rid of all of the white, and I noticed another problem with this image is that these dogs have a lot of light on them, but the background doesn't really have any lighting, which kind of looks kind of weird, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and press that little yin yang kind of logo at the bottom, and what that does is basically allows me to adjust a lot of settings with the layer, and I've gone ahead and selected curves, right? And what curves does is it allows you to control the lighting, okay? So what I'm trying to do is basically make the dogs a little bit more matte so it doesn't look as weird. Right now it's very obvious that the dogs were looking at a light source and the background doesn't really explain why there's a lighting source, right? So you can see this is an extreme version. If the dogs were this bright, it would look very, very awkward, right? So I'm going to kind of darken what the dogs look like, and then to make it match more with the background, right? And what I want to do is really make sure that these changes are only happening to the layer with the dogs. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of select just a layer with the dogs, and then I'm gonna do something called creating a clipping mask, which is just the press of a very easy button over there. And now you can see the curves effect that we were doing is only gonna apply to the dogs, and that's basically what I've done, right? It's a lot more organic, it looks a lot more natural, there isn't really that artificial lighting that's going to be going on. So that's how I've changed this image. And again, this is kind of picking at the straws and getting very, very nitty gritty, but this is also a banner that's going to control a lot of attention for new visitors. And now what I'm going to do is add in some text. Using the horizontal text tool, you can see that it was clipped to the layer before based on the click that we did. And in order to get rid of that, all you do is just move the layer to a different location and then move it back. So this is your classic horizontal text tool. And what I'm going to be doing is doing some messaging around saving money if you spend $100, right? So that's a common sales tactic that's used in e-commerce. And again, this isn't a lesson on sales. I'm just doing these kind of random sales and these lessons in order to show you guys just how versatile your design skills can be, right? It can easily be a 70% flat off as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in this messaging, and I actually don't love the font currently, so what I'm gonna do is kind of make some adjustments. I'm gonna go ahead and make this font white, right? So selected that, and then I just changed the color. Perfect, that is gonna look a lot better. And we're also gonna change this font to a font called Poppins, and I believe this font is already available in Photoshop, and I just did some browsing and just like this a lot better. It's a lot cleaner, a lot crisper, and I've gone ahead and also changed the font spacing as well, which is going to be under properties in the font area on Photoshop. And what I can do is say on orders over $100, right? And this sales strategy is all about incentivizing customers to spend more than maybe normally would have. And in a way, this is also saying save 30% from your order. So now I'm going to go ahead and just make that lowercase. And again, it's very easy to do through the text properties part of Photoshop. And I'm gonna go ahead and make this color red, right? It's all about Christmas. And if I'm brushing over some of the tools because the Prestige lessons are a little bit more advanced, just feel free to rewind. I mean, you see in real time exactly what I'm doing. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of a little shorter and less in depth than I am with District Theme. Make sure you watch those lessons before you mess around with Prestige. So this looks pretty good, and this is kind of what the banner is shaping out to be so far, and it's looking pretty professional. And how I'm going to execute this sale is going to be in the form of a discount code, right? It's very, very easy to set up in Shopify, and it kind of just regulates the whole, you have to spend $100 in order to save $30. It makes it very, very easy. So I'm going to include some messaging on this banner with a discount code, and I talk about a lot of different sales strategies in the course, so make sure you've gone ahead and reviewed all of them, okay? And I hope that something is very, very evident on here because I'm making this thing in real time. It's that there's a lot of on-the-fly thinking, right? I kind of had a visualization that I wanted a holiday type of banner with some dogs that were very, very festive because I wanted to make this a Christmas sale. And in the process of actually crafting this image, I'm just coming up with random ideas on the spot, right? So again, a banner on your website is something that should take a decent amount of time. I know in the District Theme lessons, I did some of them in like 15 minutes, but even if it takes you a full day to make your banners, it's not a bad investment. It's literally something that everyone that comes onto your site is not only going to see, but especially on Prestige Theme, it's going to be dominating their screen. It's a lot of real estate, okay? So I just can't emphasize enough why I take so much care and due diligence in doing the creative elements of my website. It literally is a direct impact on conversion rate. So I'm going to go ahead and make this messaging about discount codes and kind of do the same type of color scheme we were doing before. I'm going to make this text a little bit smaller. And something I'm just noticing right now is that the dogs are a little bit too big, right? I want to make sure that this text is a lot more pronounced so people actually see it. After all, I don't really care if people see the dogs. They have to see the sales message in order for this banner to be effective. And what I also realize now too that's kind of cool is that these dogs are kind of looking upward, right? I'm just noticing that in the middle dog at least, he's looking up above. So that's really, really cool. I'm going to orient it so it looks like the dogs are actually looking at the sale. Now that gets to another layer of professionalism, right? Because it takes a major brand to invest the resources to photograph 3 different dogs and these crazy accessories that are also looking above, and there's a sale above. It just seems too perfect for it to have just been a ragtag kind of situation graphic design. And what I'm going to do now is add some vignettes to the image, which is basically kind of like darker coloring on the borders so that it looks a lot better on this Prestige Theme slideshow element. And how we're going to do this is basically adding in another layer over here, and that's super easy to do. And I'm going to move this layer above all of the dogs, but right underneath the text, because you're going to see this vignette trick is really going to bring out the text, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that new layer I created and go ahead and click on the gradient tool over here. And we're going to make sure that the gradient tool is set to white and black, right? Because that's what we're going to be doing. And it's going to be very similar to that reflection effect I taught in the creative lessons. What we're going to do is just basically blacken out the borders, all right? And this adds a very, very cool kind of depth to our image that was very flat before, and it really brings a lot more visual attention to the middle, which is all about the dogs and the discount code, right? So what does it look like without the vignette? Let's take a look. All right, and I'm just going to make sure this thing is adjusted. Yep, so that's what it looks like without, and that's what it looks like with, right? I think it's a big difference. It looks a lot more professional, a lot more 3D, again, a lot more textured, and it really grabs all your attention to the middle. And I'm going to see if we can actually make this thing a little bit bigger than before. And what I'm doing to drag this thing or to extend it is I'm holding down shift, right? And what that does is it basically makes sure you can just extend one side. If you're not going to hold down shift, it'll actually just adjust the entire image. So even if you're dragging it down, it's actually going to expand the image on all sides, right? So with shift, that's how you're going to be able to do it correctly. So let's just make sure that these dogs are a little bit more pronounced. All right, so I made it kind of bigger and I've kind of adjusted the size of the vignette, right? So it's not covering the dogs as much. And what I'm going to do is make these text bold, right? Bold makes it stand out a lot more. And most font packages are going to come with kind of a bold option that you just have to kind of pick on Photoshop. So I'm going to make the discount code and also the save $30 both bold as well. And it's still the same font, just a bold version. And I think this is looking pretty great. So now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and export this thing as a PNG. And the dimensions I'm using for Prestige this time for the banner is going to be 2000 by 800 pixels. So a little bit different from District, just a lot more bigger in size, right? It just commands more real estate. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file and we're going to be plugging it into Prestige. So I'm here in the Prestige theme customization area and I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and this is going to look very familiar to District theme as well. A lot of parallels here. And here we are. There is the banner, and something I'm noticing right away is that the text could be a lot higher quality, right? The resolution just doesn't seem like it's where it needs to be, and also this banner truly does cover the entire screen, which I would say is a little big, right? I kind of want to allude them to the rest of the website to create that psychological effect of having them wanting to scroll down, right? It's kind of like a tantalizer when you can see that there's other elements on the landing page rather than a massive banner. So we're going to go ahead and adjust for both of these problems with one quick solution, right? And we're just going to scroll up on the slideshow element of Prestige theme, and there's going to be a button right there that says show full screen images, and we're going to uncheck that. And what this does is it basically reduces the dimensions of the image to what we natively set up in Photoshop. You can see immediately the text is just a lot crisper, and also it's exactly how we designed it in Photoshop, right? So I could have made this image just a little bit bigger in length and uncheck that box as well for a higher quality text, but I'm going to go with a smaller banner because, again, I want to kind of allude them to the other things that are going on the home page. If they can see that feature collection text, or they can see that there's other elements left for them to scroll down, the average visitor is a lot more likely to browse more of the website because there's that mystery, right? There's that excitement of, hey, there's other content I can digest aside from this banner that's about a sale and also dogs, all right? So that's basically what I'm trying to accomplish here. And then we can choose to use the text features on this theme or not, right? And you can see that Hello World is kind of a holder text right now, but I could change this to something like Happy Holidays. And again, you could choose to Photoshop the text onto the image or also use some of the native text features as well. All right, so I've plugged in the Happy Holidays under the subheading. And then for the heading, I'm going to say dress your pets for any occasion or for the occasion. All right, so that's what I'm going to do here. And again, it's up to you to decide what you want. And then what I really like about Prestige theme is actually this button feature. So it makes a really, really clean button for you, so you don't have to go inside and actually have to Photoshop. And the button's actually going to be animated as well. So I just made sure to link it to the right collection, and I'm linking this to all collections because this deal is applying for all of my products, but you can just link it to whatever collection is most relevant. You can see that looks pretty crisp, right? There's that nice clean button, and this is just basically an upper scale version of District theme, but it's not as easy to use. You can see here that there is a big problem with the mobile optimization. This button is literally covering everything up. Clearly, this doesn't optimize as easily for mobile as District theme did for the banner, right? So what we're gonna have to do, and it kind of sucks, but it's worth it, is we have to make sure that we include a mobile friendly version of this exact banner because, again, 60 to 70% of our traffic coming onto the site is probably going to be occurring on people's cell phones. And what you can see is there is kind of a trick in order to make this thing mobile optimized within Prestige theme, which I'll show you. It's just that checking that box that says show full screen images. But again, they just didn't do this exactly the right way, right? The text is a lot more visible, but 2 of the dogs are cut off. And again, it just seems like a hodgepodge effort here. And this can happen on district theme as well. It's less likely to happen, but whenever you kind of disagree with how something is looking as the mobile optimized version, it's super easy. All we have to do is create what we exactly want to see on mobile. And I think the theme here is that we can make some minor tweaks to make this thing look a lot more professional. But I like this top-down design on mobile, right? It's very easy to scroll. It's a lot better than a horizontal design. So horizontal banners are great for desktop. I think up, down, vertical banners are really good for mobile because it's easier to scroll up and down with your fingers, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and save all these PSD files in case I need them later, which is always a great thing to do. And we're gonna go ahead and start creating the mobile optimized version of this banner that's gonna be top down. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is actually remove the dogs on the side because it's going to be very hard to squeeze them all in the same frame, and honestly, I think it will still get the message across on the phone. So I'm taking my pen tool, which is a very easy way to select some things, alright? And what I'm doing is just going ahead here and drawing little line segments until I have this whole dog selected. And remember, we have this mask situation going on Photoshop, right? Which is how we were doing everything up to this point. So if we just colorize this thing black, it's going to go to the mask layer, right, which is going to be the invisible layer. So I've right clicked to make that selection, and we're going to move this black color to the background in order to get rid of this dog in a very easy way. So I'm going to click that little flip button over there, and now you can see white is on top of black, and we're just going to do control backspace, and there it is. All right, so we're going to be repeating this exact same process now for the dog on the right, which I believe is a corgi, and we're just going to do this the same way. So this is an easy way to get rid of things. We could have also used the eraser tool, a lot of different ways to get rid of something. And we're going to right click, make selection, and then control backspace, and there it is. That dog had to go as well. Awesome. So now we are left with one dog, and the text is also looking a lot better, but I just want to be reminded of what the mobile version looks like. Okay, so I think we can actually make the text a little bit smaller and then also make the dog a bit more emphasized. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if I hold down Alt, it does a uniform scale without having to adjust the center point. So whenever you're adjusting the size of text and it's kind of annoying to reposition it, just hold down Alt, and that's a little trick for you. And now I'm going to crop this thing, right, so that it is going to fit what we're looking for on Prestige theme. And if we actually crop this thing in the exact right way, we can kind of ignore that stretch this image or show full screen images checkbox, remember, and that's the best way for us to have full mastery over the resolution of our text. Okay, so this is looking pretty great now. I'm gonna go ahead and export this as a PNG, and you don't want to use quick export unless you want to compromise the quality of your image. And what I'm going to do is make this 544 by 800 pixels in case you're curious about the canvas size. This isn't necessarily the canvas size you have to use for banners, mobile banners on Prestige. Prestige is a lot more flexible, but you can just kind of play around with it until something fits right. And we're going to go ahead and upload this, and notice how I uploaded a second image. So most themes will have an option to upload a separate image for mobile version, and that's what it looks like right now. Clearly much better than before, but I think we can actually make some even more adjustments on this image based on the preview that I saw to make it even more perfect. And the biggest thing we can improve is going to be moving the dog a little bit up, and then also improving the vignettes on this image, right? We talked about why vignettes are really good for the main banner, the non-mobile one. I'm going to have to do that same effect for this one, right? So I'm just going to make some adjustments now that I kind of can visualize it. And why am I spending so much time on making a mobile banner? It's because of all the traffic that's going to come on mobile, right? It might be a little bit different situation for you, but in general, in e-commerce, the majority of your traffic is going to be coming from phones because it's so cheap to acquire traffic on mobile versus the desktop platforms. And I want to make sure that every single customer that comes onto my site is really wowed by the level of detail and design that I'm putting onto it. Okay, so I've gone ahead and created another layer for vignetting. Same process as before. I've made sure to put the layer underneath the dog, so the dog is not going to be affected by any of these color changes. So what we're going to do is just keep referencing this image until we can kind of figure out the best vignette combination. And I think this is looking honestly pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and now export this file. This again is in 544 by 800 pixels, and we're going to see how it looks, right? So I'm just going to save this iteration of it, and we're going to go back into Prestige theme, and I really am excited to see this thing in action. So we're changing this image just so we can have a compare and contrast, and let's see. Wow, I think this looks way better, right? You can see the effect of the vignetting now, right? It is really drawing your attention into the middle, which has that sail and also this dog. One thing I don't like is the fact that dress your pets for the occasion is 2 lines and not 1 line. That kind of looks a little bit ratchet if I were to say myself. So I'm just going to go and change kind of copyright for this one in order to make it all fit onto 1 line. And I'm sure that's going to be very easy. So let me just do some thinking. All right, so I'm going to do enjoy our festive sales. That's a great one-liner that's going to fit this frame perfectly. And you can see the preview now. I think this mobile banner is looking absolutely gorgeous. So why don't we actually just take a look at the first banner that we created for this store that's going to be built on Prestige theme, right? And again, right, it's fully functional. It looks really clean. I love how this button looks. Everything that we wanted to emphasize is really emphasized, and the desktop version is the original banner that we created. And this is a great start at designing this website, Pet Park, on Prestige theme, and I'm very excited to finish this up.